What is good, everybody? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again here, breaking down what the Houston Texans and Bears are going to look like this Sunday. But I'm not doing it alone. I got my guy Hoodie, Johnathan Hood from ESPN 1000 in the building. Let's talk about all that and more starting now. If you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago sports daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Bears, how Bears talk. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. And like I said, got to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, all the way from nights into days on the new Cap and J Hood show. Is it still new, Hoodie? Is it still count as the new Cap and J Hood show? Johnathan Hood on the channel. What's going on, brother?
If you've never listened to the show, then it's new to you, Pat. Absolutely. I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, listen, we've been trying to link up, but I feel like me and you have like a very simpatico work schedule. So it's good to finally get you on the show and break this down, man. I mean, listen, coming into the season, you were a little bit more down on the Bears than I were, based on the talent, based on a lot of the things they didn't do this season. Just starting this off, right? I mean, after seeing this team start off 1-1, where are your feelings on this Bears team? You still feel like this is a sub-7 win team, or is this maybe they can sneak a little more out?
Well, coming into the season, my prediction for the Bears was 7-10.
Yeah.
And the over-under in Vegas, the win total was 6, so I chose 7. And the reason why Pat, is because there's some coin flip games in there in the schedule where it's like you can go either way.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, when we see these upper echelon teams in the NFL, it comes down to talent. And so when I saw the Bears and what they brought forth for the upcoming season against San Francisco, I thought, this roster is somewhat mid, and rightfully so, because you cannot win in this league with just below average wide receivers or offensive line that's kind of makeshift. It's just like, to me, a playoff team is when you can pick out 4 to 6 guys, offense, defense, special teams, and identify those guys as difference makers. And I just think that for this Bears team, because you got rid of Robinson, you got rid of Mack, you got rid of Keem Hicks, to me, it was one of these situations where it's like, okay, so you're trying to somewhat start over. It's not necessarily a complete tank, but you're trying to bring in some players to give them an opportunity to play, to find out if they can be a starter for year 2, year 3, year 4 down the line. So that's why my pessimism is there based on the roster composition. Absolutely.
And it's, listen, when you came into the season, right, you didn't feel like this team was going to be dominant either way, right? Just based on, like you said, roster composition, and also just the fact that they were all the big names that we had, right? They pulled them to other teams. All right, let's get rid of them. Let's get rid of them. We're starting over, whether Poles wants to say it or not. This is a rebuild kind of season. But I think, right, the interesting part when you get into, you win the San Francisco game, now you get into the Green Bay game. I think it was like, okay, we're going to be somewhere in the middle there. But was there something from that Green Bay game, an inkling of anything that you looked at heading into this week's game that you're like, let's keep that up. Let's keep rolling with that. That's the part of the game, the part of the team that I really want to see continue.
Possibly more in the San Francisco game than the Green Bay game.
Yeah.
We can go back to the last game and say, okay, offensively speaking, you did not get the ball down the field. There was no rain. There's no monsoon.
Yeah.
So cut that out. Like, there was no issues with weather. It was ineptitude. That was the problem with the Bears offense.
100%.
Which, if you're a wide receiver, you're just running routes. You're just getting your workout. You're getting your steps in, because apparently you're not there to catch the ball. So you're just getting your steps in. And that was a problem.
Yeah.
Running the football, obviously, I want to see that all season. I love David Montgomery. And I know that the rubber is going to meet the road at some point here in the offseason to decide whether or not he's going to be the guy, or is he going to be Khalil Herbert. All I know is that the strength of the Bears is running the football, which is cool in 1990.
Yeah.
But in 2022, if you don't have a balance of giving the defense something to look at by having a deep threat and throwing the ball down the field, that's not going to work. So, but shout out to the offensive line to give holes to David Montgomery. I love that. And I love that for Herbert as well. So the running lanes are there. That's on the offensive side. Defensively, you want to get to the quarterback. You will be able to knock the ball out. One of the things that we don't talk enough about, Pat, is that we did see Rodgers. Again, that was just a messed up handoff to the running back, but at least the Bears were opportunistic enough to get the football, right? And so they're getting back to that Lovey. It's funny, Lovey's in town on a Sunday because they're getting back to that takeover thing, right? They used to have, like, I didn't even know this until, like, last offseason. They actually had a takeover, like a takeaway bucket, but it had cobwebs. We didn't know anything about it because the Bears weren't getting takeaways. Like, how can you have a gimmick? It's like having that, like, in college, you got this title belt when you
Wait, under Nagy, we had a takeaway bucket?
Right. Well, how would you know when you're not getting takeaways? Like, the gimmick is stupid, right? It's like in college, we got this championship belt, and it's like, hey, when you score a touchdown to get a belt. Well, it's like, you don't get the belt if you don't get into the end zone. Right? So why do you need the gimmick, right? You don't. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So at least what I'm seeing, Pat, is my hope is that the Bears are apt to try to take the ball away like we saw under Lovey all those years for the years he was here. So those are a few things I'd like to see in the Houston game moving forward.
Here's the one thing that excites me, and I just want to hear your thoughts on it, where I look at this as, now, I looked at the first 2 weeks, right? Week 1, you really can't do much about. Like, it was literally a monsoon. We changed the grass, and all of a sudden, water doesn't go into the dirt anymore. We were playing in my basement, basically. And then week 2, it comes out, and you see, right, as I watch the tape, you see, okay, there's some passes Justin could have made that he didn't make. And if we keep this up, to me, it felt like Luke Getsy and maybe Flus as well going, the media is going to kill this kid anyway. We might as well go heavy run on Montgomery. We might as well go heavy run with Herbert. Try to work him in a little bit, but if he keeps missing all these reads, the media is going to destroy him. He's not prepared for this game just yet. But going into week 3, I think you'll see more of the opposite because he's been practicing against cover 2 in training camp. He's been practicing against cover 2 all offseason, right? And so now you're seeing something that he's more familiar with. I think we'll see him throw the ball a little bit more versus a defense that he's used to. What do you think we're going to see from Justin Fields on Sunday? Do you see him having another 11-pass game, or is he going to be trying to get that down the field a little bit more?
I think if you want to find out if Justin Fields is your future, you better let him throw the football down the field.
That's my theory on it.
I don't want them to turn the ball over, Pat. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if he's that kind of quarterback because if you're putting the handcuffs on him, how will you be able to do that? Okay, so we'll push the San Francisco game to the side. Yeah. All right, so Trey Lance wasn't very good. Justin wasn't very good in that reign, right? You want to run the football. You get this magical pass to Pettis on the right side for a touchdown, open up the offense. That was good enough against San Francisco. But when you take on the top teams like Green Bay, like run the football exclusively is not going to get it done. Yeah. It just won't. The olds will always tell you that it's about defense and running the football. Not in 2022, son. It is not. It is about throwing the football down the field and that mixture, right? Yeah. That good blend. Like, it's good that you have a semblance of a running game, but you got to be able to throw it down the field. So here's what I expect. I expect for the Bears to throw the football or have at least attempts 22 times. We'll just use that as a number.
I love it.
22 times.
I love it.
Now, I'm not saying that he's going to go for 22 for 22, but what I'll tell you is that he's got to take shots down the field. Now, you know it's Lovie Smith's team. So you know that they're going to be ready defensively to try to get after Justin, to get him on his feet. And if he's got to run for the first down, do that, man. Yeah. Do it. If Josh Allen can do it, then how come Justin Fields can't do it, right? 100%. Oh, you're too young, Pat, to go through sports radio saying that when black quarterbacks was running out of the pocket, that was just unseemly. You have to stay in the pocket and get your ass whooped. That's what they were saying back then. Why is Randall Cunningham running out of the pocket? Why can't he just stand there and take a beating like a man? Dude, I lived through that. Yeah. And so now we see it all the time, right? Quarterbacks are like, I'm not going to get killed because you want me to stay in the pocket. I'm out of here until you can find some offensive linemen. And so the same thing with Justin. Justin, people are criticizing his reads. Bruh, if he has 3.2 seconds to get the ball out. Yeah. The average is 2.79. I saw that stat this week. So he has a little bit more time than normal. But still, if no one's open, you should run. Yeah. Absolutely, sir, because it's about getting the first down. But at the same time, I'll just use a nice number like 22 and we'll use that as a base because 22 is better than 11. How about that?
Yeah, no, and here's the thing. That's all I've asked for all season, right? Because for me, I think you just saw the offense you want to run. Like I keep saying that on the show. Like if Justin Fields really wants to see how this offense runs, look at what they did on the other side, especially just this season. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have weapons right now. Now, granted, he's Aaron Rodgers, right? But he doesn't have weapons right now. He's not able to go out there and just trust that he's going to be able to throw this broken play to Devontae Adams because Devontae Adams is catching broken plays over in Oakland. So I think the interesting thing here is, okay, you saw Aaron Rodgers essentially not be the main reason that you got killed on a Sunday for once. And Bears fans can't say that we've seen that very often. We saw more of okay, this run game is going to destroy you. This passing game is going to be used kind of as a crutch to keep you off balance. And so I'm looking at that game and saying, that's the game plan I want to see the Bears take forward. 25 passes is 22 to 25 passes. That's all I need from my quarterback in a run-heavy offense. Listen, I don't know if Bears fans know this, but we're running the Titans. We're running the San Francisco 49ers. We're not out here on Arrowhead level yet. We're not the Chiefs where we can drop back the pass at 44 times a game. And if we get there, I think that then you start to make those assessments. But to me, right, and I'll ask you this, right? If this season, and even going into this next game, right, because we'll essentially have 3 games in a row of maybe minimal passing, do you feel like there will be a ability to make a fair assessment of what Justin is? Even if you talk about him throwing 22 passes, that's still 44 passes in 3 weeks. We saw what's my man in Dallas? I can't even think of his name right now. Reed?
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. I don't know why I keep going Reed. Cooper Rush throw 44 passes, his second start in the NFL. Mm-hmm. Can you make that fair assessment of what Justin's going to be if we have that 3 weeks in?
No. But I know in this hot take society, there's going to be a lot of opinions about Justin Fields.
Yeah, the national nerds are ready.
But see, I'm a patient man. And you should be too, because we're Bears fans. So we got
nothing else to do.
Well, we got to have patience, right? You got patience. Like, okay, so maybe I'm old school. I don't think I am because I'm watching football and enjoying football for what it is today, Pat.
Yeah.
But I need to have a full season of no Andy Dalton over this dude's shoulder, no Simeon over his shoulder, where it's his job to win or lose. And for 17 games to find out what he can do. Now, how about this? How about I'm also giving him next year as well, because I expect for the Bears to be able to spend money to get quality offensive linemen and wide receivers and weapons and a tight end that can catch. Cole Kmet, you're out of here. You got to be able to do that because let me ask you this, because we talked about this morning.
Yeah.
So you asked about evaluation for Justin Fields. So can I evaluate Justin Fields this year with EQ St. Brown and with Darnell Mooney and Bayless Jones, who's not healthy, and Dante Pettis and Byron Pringle? Now, some of those guys are just on prove-it deals for them to move on next year.
Yeah.
I don't expect Pringle and Pettis and those guys. They won't be here. They're on prove-it deals to show what they can do on better teams.
Yeah.
So I can evaluate Justin for this group and this rickety offensive line. But next year, when you do have weapons and someone's a deep threat, right? But move fantasy to the side.
Yeah.
Can you identify someone on this offense, the wide receivers, and you say, man, if he gets open, it's over? Not even Darnell Mooney yet, because that's one reception for -4 yards. You didn't even target dude, right? Yeah. But as we move on, maybe Darnell will be that dude. Maybe there's going to be someone else, but I'm not so sure. But I will evaluate Justin to see through the growing pains how he handles it. And then next year, if they get weapons and if you're just trying to bolster defense and not do anything offensively, I'm going to be mad, because everything should be about Justin Fields' development. Everything. 100%. He's the number one guy on your team. Take care of him. So no, it's not the Texans game, the season. How does he handle it? That's my whole thing for me.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think, right, if he was, there's some dudes that are special And I think Justin has an ability to be that guy, but he's gone through so many changes initially, right? Like I think of a guy like Deshaun Watson, who tough transition, but who, I mean, day one, play one, right? Essentially, he had tight ends blocking for him on his offensive line. And he still looked amazing in his rookie year, right? Like, I think there's those special players you can say that about, but it's also the NFL. That's not going to be the case for the majority. You look at a situation like Pat Mahomes, we can say what we want. You know, Pat Mahomes came in and lit the world on fire. Pat Mahomes joined a AFC title team. And then just had to turn into the full player that he was. But I think for me, right, the thing that I'm doing on a week-by-week basis with Justin isn't a full-on analysis. It's more of a, okay, are you improving on what we saw last season? Are you improving on the things that we saw last week, right? Like there's a couple of pass plays where protection was actually good. Justin Fields had a guy streaking down the sideline wide open. And to me, he's got to pull the trigger on those plays. But I'm also not naive enough to say, well, you know, he's never seen this kind of defense set in front of him before, so he's just going to pull the trigger. He's also trying to not protect he's trying to protect the football. He's trying not to make mistakes, right? Like there's a lot of that goes into being a young quarterback here. I think the biggest thing for me week by week is that I want to see him improve upon mistakes that he made last week. If we go into this week, and Equinemius St. Brown is streaking down the sideline wide open, begging for Justin to throw the ball, and Justin looks at him and then goes for the 5-yard dump off to Monty. Now it's like, okay, now you're not improving. Now you're not learning. Now there's a disconnect somewhere week by week that we need to get over. And I think that's kind of the best way to assess what this team is going to be long-term, what Justin Fields is going to be long-term, just based on, is he improving on the mistakes? Say what we want about the situation with Mitch here. Mitch is still making some of the same mistakes in Pittsburgh.
Yes, he is.
like the second year, the third year mistakes that he was making as rookie, he's still making some of those same mistakes. So I think that's the part that to me really stands out. Do you feel like we have the coaching staff to improve upon those things week by week, right? Because if we go into this Packer game and Luke Getsy calls 11 passes, I'm gonna be hot. I'm gonna be hot because you can't do anything with that.
I mean, to answer your question, I don't know. I know that's not the answer you want, but I don't know. And here's why I don't know. You got first-year head coach, you got first-year offensive coordinator, you got a quarterback really in his first year. That last year with Nagy, it was just nonsense. He was thrown in there because of pressure and because Big Red got hurt, right? So I don't know the answer to that. You would think somebody from Green Bay that worked with Aaron Rodgers would have some tricks. I heard Getsy's press conference the other day. He's still steadfast in his belief that on 4th and 1, that was the right play call. Might have been, but still Justin should have tucked his head under the center. Was able to score. Or Walter Payton over the top. Something, right? And it's stuff like that that's bothersome, but also part of the growing pains with this Bears team. So it's funny because with Justin, Pat, I think everybody grows together one way or the other, right? First year quarterback, first year head coach, first year offensive coordinator. You know, there is the haves and the have-nots in this league, right?
Oh, yeah.
There is first couple of years in the league, Justin Herbert set the world on fire. First couple of years in the league, Patrick Mahomes. And then there's like Davis Mills, and then there's Justin Fields.
Yeah.
You know, there's layers to this, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you have a young quarterback, and then you already have the weapons ready to go, right? It's like, all right, if we get this young quarterback in a position to succeed, he can do it. Like Cooper Rush, whatever you say about him, he's a backup to Dak Prescott. How did he win last week? Because there's weapons. Because there's weapons. Because there's people, right? Because because in those situations I just told you about with like Herbert or with Mahomes, you have to start over.
Came in with Keenan Allen there. You came in with Tyreek Hill there. You came in with
See? So there's layers to this, right? And so that's why I have to be patient to see what he can do. Because everyone's learning together. Yeah.
100%. I think here's the question, right? Coming into this week, right? You get a win here. You're 2-1. Let's say they get a win here. They're 2-1.
They're going to win Sunday.
I fully believe it too. I'm like, I was in here ranting. First off, I was ranting on Bears fans that were on Twitter. Like, he criticized the fans for not working as hard. I was like, dude, you're a plumber. Like, I'm sorry. You don't get in the huddle once a week. Like, I love plumbers. Shout out to you guys. But you're not in the huddle once a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, right, when you look at the possibility of this Bears team getting a win Sunday, they're 2-1. You've got a Giants team that, yeah, they're playing better too, but they're also beatable. They're 3-1. Right now, you're talking about putting something on tape, to me, that improves the mindset in the building, but also gets people outside looking. The biggest thing on the Bears has been, to me, I've called them the national nerds. The national nerds just love to crap on the Bears. When there's reason to crap on them, but there's teams in the other that we play this year that are in the same situation. I think if you start to get a couple of wins here, this team is so young, the confidence can take them further than they thought that they were going to be able to go, further than they thought they were going to be able to accomplish this season. Because I think there's vets in the building that are like, yeah, we're a 6-win team. You start to win a few games, now it's a whole different thing. Do you think that this could be the season? I'll give the analogy of, is this like the Bulls bringing in Vucevic and all of a sudden people in the building were like, wait a minute, we can win. We can win some games with a team that we're putting together here. Is this the mindset changing year for this team?
I think defensively it is. I think defensively, because here's why I know that. The strength of the team is on the defense.
Absolutely.
Because let's just say it starts with Robert Quinn. Does Roquan Smith have to play better football? Yes, he does. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because dude, should be a cornerstone for this franchise for 10 years.
Yeah.
He's pissed off about his contract situation. I know he doesn't really want to be here, but I think once the season continues to roll on, I think he'll be an asset to this team like he always has been. I think Eddie Jackson is a guy here. I could not believe this when I saw this. I thought I was tweaking when I saw that Eddie Jackson hasn't had a takeover since 2019.
Yeah.
I'm like, that can't be right.
Yeah.
It's right.
Yeah.
Until just recently against San Francisco, I'm like, my God, man, where's he been? He's supposed to be that ball hawk, right? So that's a strength. Nobody throws to Jalen Johnson. There's a positive. 0. No, I mean, that's the stat. Like, no one throws his way.
Is it because Kyler Gordon's been so subpar to this point, though? That was my issue with Vildor last season.
I just know that I saw 0, and I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's the Bears. I'll take any victory. Even though that is a sleight of hand stat, I still like it. I'll take that shit. I'll take it right now. How about that?
Hey, I'm with it.
So that's the strength of the team, Pat. So I think from their standpoint, yeah, I think that they have that in the building. Now, I wonder how they feel about it offensively.
Yeah.
That's my question. Like, I think that offensively speaking, I wonder if they had that same swagger.
Yeah.
Because I think this defense feels like they can still get the quarterback. And that all comes from this hits principle from Coach Eberflus, right? It sounds collegiate, sounds like high school, but he tries to make things simple. You do these 4 things, we can be able to get to the quarterback and, turn and flip the field for the offense. Okay, a mission statement. I got it, Coach. This is what you want us to do. If we hit these 4 things, you won't be on my ass in practice. Okay, let's do this, right?
100%.
But offensively, where's that hits principle on the offense? What's their principle?
I think you see it with specific guys, and to me, those are the guys you have to really focus in on, especially for next season. But it feels like they're the guys the Bears hate the most, right? Like, I see Tevin Jenkins exuding the hit principle where he pancake blocks some guy to the ground, sees Justin rolling out, jumps up and goes and kills another guy. That's the hits principle to me on the offensive side.
Mm-hmm.
I think we see guys showing that, but there's such a lack of opportunity for them to show it, right? In the run game, listen, we're watching Monty. In the run game, Monty's doing some amazing things, breaking tackle, hits this guy, gets him off. The offensive line is clearing holes for him. But in the passing game, that's really where you get the opportunity to see that hits principle on display. And we've seen 28 passes in 2 weeks. So you haven't been able to see that on the offensive side.
Yeah, I think that changes somewhat against Houston.
Yeah.
And can we just tell you, and I don't mind being wrong, but if that doesn't happen against Houston, okay, now you start looking with a little side eye, like, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So So when will this begin?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Like if you're not doing it against, and I'm not saying Houston is in transition post Deshaun Watson. So I can understand where Lovey's going through right now, as far as him trying to put a new coat of paint on that Houston Texans outfit, right?
100%.
But yeah, if you can't do it against them, if you can't move the ball, you can't move it down the field, that's a problem. Now it's funny, we talked to the local meteorologist, Tracy Butler, from Channel 7, ABC 7 in Chicago. For those that are watching and listening outside of the city limits. And we talked to her this morning. We said, hey, what's the weather like, Tracy? She's like, it's going to be 35-mile-an-hour winds. It's like, oh, so we had the rain game, and we're going to have gusty winds on Sunday to knock the ball down. Run the ball.
We've literally had 3 games of now Green Bay, right? You couldn't see the rain as much because it was much less. We've literally had 3 games of like, well, the conditions would tell us to just pound the rock and keep going forward. Like,
cool, like run the ball, but you gonna score with it, right, Pat?
Here's the thing that I'll ask you, right? Like, do you like that we're seeing? I have 2 feelings on this. I feel like you have to figure out how to develop Justin if you're going to have long-term success. That's the bottom line of it. You have to figure that out. But we also are seeing a coaching staff, and credit to them, that's going into every week with the game plan of this is the thing that gives us the best chance to win. Whether we like it or not, that part hurts a little more. But last week, after watching the All-22, they were stacking 8 in the box, and Monty was killing people.
That's cool. But you know what? But you're not. But see, in that scenario,
right?
The couple games, so you're not keeping the defense honest, right? Safety starts sneaking in there, sneaking into the box like, well, they're not going to throw the ball down the field. Let's just stack it up a little bit, right? I mean, because if the Bears are not going to throw the football, I don't need to be back here. So as a safety, I'll sneak up in the box a little more and be able to. So if that's the case, man, that's a problem. That's happened in the San Francisco game. They were sneaking up in the box. It's like, all you're going to do is run the ball. So let's just get in position, right? So, but you have to keep the defense honest to the point where it's like, yeah, he might throw the ball down the field, but because if you're exclusively running the ball, then you just become one-dimensional. You don't have splash plays offensively in this league, you don't win. No, you don't win enough.
That I agree with 100%. But I think the thing that at least excites me, right, is they're not so stuck to maybe doing something specific. They're more so stuck to what's going to give us the best chance to win this game. That's what it looked like to me in the Green Bay game, right? Even in the San Francisco game, they were pounding the rock and San Francisco was playing up. But you look on the flip side of that, right? San Francisco's trying to put it through the air. They're trying to play okay, we got to make Trey Lance look good. He's got to come out and show us something, or he's playing the flip side of it, which a lot of people think Nagy did with Mitch, right? Go ahead and let him throw. But you look at it, and Trey Lance had 2 interceptions, which are the reason that San Francisco ends up losing the game. So I like that they're playing the balance role of, okay, what's going to give us the best opportunity to win this game? We're going to try and develop this kid as much as possible. But at the end of the day, the goal is to win this game. I feel like a lot of that has been lost with a lot of head coaches we've had, because just about every head coach we've had has had to develop some young quarterback. So every head coach we've had has made that statement of, I want to see them grow. I want to showcase what they can do, instead of I'm going to do what we got to do to win this game.
Yeah, you're trying not to lose instead of trying to win the game.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the Steelers are doing with Mitch right now.
Basically. Like it literally was that, like, right? Like you looked at that last night and it was like, all right, he's okay. He's okay. Oh, you just turned it into Mitch again. Like, all right, let's just try not to lose now.
And here is the conundrum with him, right? He's not awful. He's not great. And in that middle sucks. It does, because you don't know what you're getting for week to week, right? And so that's what it is, right? He's not going to throw a bunch of picks that's going to lose you the game. He also is not going to make all these big splash plays. There's going to be some. I'll give you an example. He threw in triple coverage and was able to zing the ball in there at one point in the second half. I'm like, I know that's in him, but it's not enough of that in him to be able to win. And that's good enough to stay paid in the NFL. Like, if you want a nice, steady job in the NFL, right? It's like that family member is like, you really don't have like a job, but you got that nice, steady income coming in.
Are you calling Mitch and Antetokounmpo, brother? Is that what you're doing right now?
Yeah, pretty much. That's it, like that steady income. Like, that's a hustle. He's a hustle man. How do you keep that hustle? Because he could do just enough to keep getting paid.
Yeah,
that's what Mitch is. And I'll tell you one thing, Omar Epps on the sidelines there, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
He's not going to deal with this too much longer.
No, they're going to pick it by next week at a minimum to me. I think the funny thing is, right, and you can speak to this. I feel like we've hit an era where teams are no longer willing to allow a quarterback to be just okay, right? Like, growing up for me, there was a ton of just okay quarterbacks in the NFL. And all the teams would say, okay, we're going to get a good running back. We're going to get a good offensive line around him. We're going to get a solid defense. And we're going to win as many games as we can with this guy because this is the guy that we have, unless some magical person comes along. Does it feel like, right, we're maybe a little too quick with these guys? I mean, we're in Justin's first contract, and now, there's people that are going to be next season talking about this guy's not it, or this guy's the savior. Pay him all the money in the world or trade him now.
That's daytime talk show fodder. That's where that comes from. And shout out to all the people that I know that are on daytime sports talk shows. But I mean, a perfect example of what you're talking about is like Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
Giants, right? You don't have a backup in mind. So Daniel Jones is what they drafted a few years ago, and you're sticking with them.
Yeah.
Solid vanilla ice cream. That's what he is, right? Nothing special. Just, when you get vanilla ice cream, you know what you're getting. Talk shows that need to be able to jump on young players because they want Tom Brady yesterday. I'm talking about for any of these young players is unfair. Because Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady when he first came into the NFL. I think that many people, social media, talk shows as well, want to see greatness right away. And it doesn't work that way. I think that, especially in the NBA, I think that we get that a lot, right?
Yeah, way more.
As a young player that comes out of college or goes from high school or goes to the G League and comes over to the NBA, and you expect him to be LeBron the first year.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. It's about development. And some people are patient for that. Some are not. I think at the quarterback position is the number one thing we talk about all the time, right? We have bypassed, Pat, not talking about front offices, not talking about head coaches, not talking about draft status. We just go right to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Is the quarterback good? Yes or no? Can he play? Yes or no? And you need to know right now. You need to know right now, can he play?
Yeah.
And this is why I'm going to hit pause on Justin Fields until we see him for at least a year where he's the man. Guy's not even a man yet. I've been seeing this with my homies on ESPN, just like, the Bears are not doing right by Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Well, the Bears picked a lane, bruh. They was like, as much as you might have liked Akeem Hicks and Khalil Mack and Allen Robinson and all these guys, they picked the lanes like, you know what? That's right. I got this job because Pace and Nagy sucked. We're going to move this salary out. We got a lot of dead cap space, but we move these guys out. We'll have over $100 million of cap space. If we don't do it right over the next couple of years with this money, then we shouldn't be in this job either. That's what polls should be saying, right? So when it comes to young quarterbacks in this league, they was trying to throw Kyler Murray out too, by the way, first year. Like, fast, right? He's fine. And so you have to be able to have patience with all this, especially when you're going to rebuild.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. And I'm glad that most fans recognize as a rebuild. There's still some fans that are like, how did we not beat the Packers? I'm like, well, Hall of Fame quarterback, people that know what they're doing, a lot of wins the last 4 years. But I mean, here's the thing that you got to look at when it comes down to the end of this. This team is going to be middling no matter what. But middling is better than what we were last year.
Correct.
And that is the point that I think a lot of Bears fans tend to miss. Last season, I said firing Nagy gives you 2 wins automatically. Like you moved him out the building just because he was so like, we're going to pass it. Well, you're better at our run blocking and running the football. We're going to pass it. You've got 7 quarterbacks. We're going to pass it. okay, I guess we're going to pass it. Like, that's not going to work in the NFL. Very much like you said, selling out, right? They were selling out the other way. They were like, they're going to pass it. So we're all just going to play back, rush 4 and call it a day.
Yeah, and drop 7. See what happens, right? So, I mean, I know what this is.
Yeah.
There's going to be some really strong moments for the Bears. It's gotten off to a slow start, obviously, because of what's happened the first couple of games. But, I mean, we're going to see some yearbook moments where we'd be like, boy, that's where Justin really thrived. But, boy, look at David Montgomery. Boy, look at the defense winning the game for the Bears.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people, I feel like they just dropped on this earth like this season and not realizing that there are a number of teams that are going to start over and it's going to look like shit. That happens from time to time, right? It's going to look perfect. And by the way, you and I both know the goal. The goal is to get to the Lombardi.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
But everybody's not blessed to have the Lombardi every year, man. Like that just doesn't work that way. Hopefully the Bears will get there. And
it's about getting there and building something that can get there every year. I love the fans that are like, especially like listening to Green Bay radio sometimes, just to like anytime Aaron Rodgers loses in the playoffs, it just makes me feel a little bit better. It's like my Super Bowl. But
no, for real.
It's literally just fans calling in going, we should just move on from Rodgers.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. That's a real thing up there. Like, so the bootleg Pat the Designer up in Milwaukee, right? Whoever that guy is, or whoever that one is. So the bootleg Pat the Designer,
Pat the Farmer,
we'll have a show like this one.
Yeah.
We'll try to have a show like this, and they will tell you, like, especially last Sunday, the offense was terrible. We couldn't move the ball against the Bears. We ran down their throats, but we could be so much better. It's almost like they're emblematic of Rodgers' sullen attitude. You know, like how he is, just like grumpy. And so, but listen, if I'm a Packer fan, I'm happy I'm winning the division. I'm flying that flag every year. That train never stops. But the thing that happens is that you're not doing anything else besides that, right? You beat the Bears. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So now, what are you going to do in the postseason, right? Yeah. And so that's their whole thing. But I laugh at that because I hear the same thing, and I'm like, dude, I'd rather be a perennial winner than to be in the playoffs every now and then. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather be at least in the dance for a chance.
Yeah.
Than to be here one year, be out the next year, be in 1 year, and we have a drought for years. I don't want that for this team. Absolutely not.
Nah, it's sad to see. I think the biggest thing is like I get it all the time with like Bulls Nation, right? We're doing the Bulls live calls, right? It's just like this Bulls team is going nowhere. This Bulls team is going to be a second round exit. This Bulls team, like, I'm like, I get it, right? Like I was calling 82 games of us winning 20 of them. Yeah. So it hurt. It feels a little bit better for me.
Wow.
But, hey, listen, hoodie. It was rough out there. But also, like, at the end of the day, it's about moving in the right. I feel like Chicago fans really feel like it's still 1995 and like the Bears always have a chance and the Bulls are still winning championships and the White Sox are coming up. And it's like, hey guys, like that was a long time ago. Like Sox aren't going to make the playoffs this year. Bears are rebuilding. Bulls are in the process of trying to get back to something. Like we don't have that championship, what's the right word for it, right? Like the championship, like expectation every season. Like you got to lower that. Like that was a long time ago.
That's right. I mean, Jordan's not walking through that door.
Jordan's not walking through that door.
Yes. If he is, he's going to be old, as Rick Pitino said. Like it's just, that's one of those things, man. It's like when I look at the state of Chicago sports. So you have a Blackhawks team that's rebuilding, Cubs team that's going to be rebuilding, Bears are rebuilding. With the Bulls, and I cannot wait for your calls this year. I was just chilling, trying to figure out what the Bears are going to be, and this whole White Sox thing. All of a sudden, hey, by the way, dummy, NBA season's right around the corner. It is,
bro.
How fast was that? And I'm a league guy.
It felt so weird because we haven't been in the playoffs in so long. It's like, oh yeah, we played an extra week and a half.
You getting down on those preseason games? You gonna call a few for us?
I'm calling every single preseason game. I call every preseason game. I'm going all in on it. Listen, somebody's throwing me an application, right? Like I'm not.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna throw me an application after this season. So.
Yeah. I just don't want to know when to tune in because the preseason's here. And by the way, even though this is a lot of beer, I just want to point this out about the Bulls, just real quick.
Let's do it.
I want to talk to you about this.
Let's do it.
Because I'm concerned.
Let's do it.
And maybe you could talk to me. Maybe you get me off the ledge. I need your help with this.
Let's do it.
Okay, Pat. How come, or as my little godchild says, why come?
Why come?
How come Lonzo Ball did not get his surgery in the summer and is taking care of it now? Why is that happening? Like the last thing I heard was his old man, LeVar, says, I'll take care of my son here in California and we'll work him out and we're going to find out. And it's like, so from the end of April to September, was it getting better? If it wasn't getting better, if he still felt like, well, every time he ramps up, it was getting worse.
Yeah.
Why don't you get the surgery in June or July? Why would you wait until September? And by the way, the Bulls, and this is breaking news on your show.
Yeah.
The Bulls apparently were looking at the situation and monitoring it. Because my fear it was this LeVar to, come on, kid, come on.
Lonzo's just in a swimming pool with one of the rims in it, just doing jokes. That's
that was my concern. I'm like, if that guy's doing all this, I'm like, no, not this, this. But apparently the Bulls were in on this. This is some news for you. How come? Why is it that my man is just...
Hold on, let me get the zoom in on you. You go full Wojo there. What's happening in Utah? What's going on out there?
Why is that, Pat? Why is that? Why do you think that is? Because you know why I'm asking you this. I'm asking you this because that's the head of the snake on the perimeter defense.
Yes.
That dude, his three-point shooting is getting better.
Yes.
And his defense is stellar. He and Caruso at the top.
Yes.
How come we got to wait for his surgery?
I think there's two things. The one part to me, I think, is the part that I kind of hate about the politics that happen in leagues a lot of time. Mm-hmm. The one part of it, I think, is you really don't want to put him under the knife. You want him to be able to go back through this because you think about it, right? If he goes under the knife again, you're talking about full removal. You're essentially saying, Lonzo, listen, there's nothing else we can do. We got to take the meniscus out. We got to make sure that we can put the padding in there, all of that. And now you're going to have a shorter career because arthritis is going to set in. Welcome to the NBA. But on the other side, right, I think there's a bit of I don't know if politics is the right word, but like you got to play this up. If you send him back under the knife during the summer, you're basically saying and admitting we messed up. We signed a guy that we knew had knee issues. We signed a guy that we knew coming to this team could miss some time because that's what his career has been. And I think this is the first time we can actually look at AK and say, I don't know if it's going to end that way. Listen, he's 24 years old. I hope he comes back. I think he's going to be able to play well. But I think this is AK's first real that we messed up.
The Bulls medical staff under scrutiny. Oh, that's a first.
That's a whole different thing.
Almost killed Luol Deng, allegedly.
Well, he's not here anymore. Actually, Johnathan is not here anymore. Like, no, I know. Oh yeah,
yes,
I know. He's not here anymore. The same dude that did the I'm 107-year-old shuffle when Chris Dunn dunked the ball and fell on his face. Yeah, that's the guy we were rolling with for 10 years. I feel
allegedly. By the way, I mean that's one. By the way, if people think I'm joking, that's one Google search. If people don't know the Luol Deng story, where he was diagnosed for one thing and it was something else.
Yeah,
dude almost
with a spinal tap. Yeah, no, 100%. And Luol is, I believe. I might need to fact check that first, but I believe that Luol has said that changed the trajectory of his career. Like that changed how long he was able to be that level of player. So that's a whole, I think that's Bulls fans' biggest fear, right? Like as a Bulls fan, do you feel like, and as somebody that breaks down the team, do you feel like the Bulls don't have enough talent on this team to be competitive in the East? Or are you more fearful that the Bulls won't be healthy enough to compete in the Eastern Conference?
No, I expect the Bulls to be healthy enough to compete in the Eastern Conference, meaning that I expect Ball to be back whenever that is, January. I'm not even sure. So I expect them to be healthy enough, but we have to break it down. So it's more than just Chicago. Now let's take a look at the East, right?
Yeah.
So the best player in the East, you could say that's Giannis. There's a lot of Embiid fans. There's a lot of Kevin Durant fans that will say that those guys are the best. Okay, so our best, the Bulls' best, is Zach LaVine, who can give you anywhere from 25 to 30 points a game.
Yep.
My question is, so who's number 2 on the Bulls? I can give you the number 2 on the Heat. I can give you Jimmy Butler. I can give you Tyler Hero.
Yep. I
give you the Celtics, the try-hard Celtics team that was grinding it out last year. I can give you Harden and Embiid. I can give you a scrappy Toronto team. I can give you the crazy Nets. Cleveland getting better with Donovan Mitchell. So there's a lot of talented teams.
Yeah.
But my question is I can give you the 1, 2, and 3 of those teams. Is the 2 for the Bulls going to be the same as the 2 for the Bulls last year? Meaning, was that just a charm season for DeMar? Or can he roll that back and do that again? Because you know what happened. You watch the games. You call the games.
Yeah.
There were times where the Bulls were just like, DeMar is hot.
And that's the problem.
Let's let him cook for 2, right? Yeah. And it's like, that was good. And here's the thing I love though, Pat. I'm not bashing them. What I'm saying is that, and remember that role on the West Coast trip? Yep. When you're just like, okay, is Joker not playing for Denver at that time? No. The point is that you're on the road, tough road trip, LA. You're playing Utah, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. I think Denver was on that trip. Yep. And you were kicking everybody's ass. Yep. Billy Donovan, when we talked to him, he's like, it was a quirk in the schedule. There's a lot of the stars are out. I don't care. You were on the road and winning. I don't care who's playing, who's not. I was impressed by that. But a lot of that was DeMar because LaVine had COVID maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times last year. Yeah. So DeMar he was cooking. My question is, not a knock, my concern, can DeMar be that strong number 2 again? Because that's needed. Because all the other teams, I know their lineup. I know their top 2 or 3 players. Yeah. But, LaVine is going to need to lean on a few people when his shooting touch isn't there every night.
I think the part that you have to hope for, and I know this sounds crazy, right? I think DeMar can be that player. I actually hope DeMar takes a step back, though. And I know a lot of Bulls fans have looked at me crazy when I've said that, but I hope DeMar takes a step back because if DeMar's being the same player that he was last season, that means that we have a lot of the same issues that we had last season where guys are out. Guys aren't performing as well as we thought they were. You had to, Zach LaVine's playing on 50% of a knee, apparently. And so he's out there one-legged trying to give you everything he's got. Then he's visibly limping off the court the other way. I think those are the things where DeMar, all of a sudden, he's like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to go for 35 again tonight and see how this works for us. And it worked out more times than not. But I think here's the thing that has to happen with the Chicago Bulls, and it's the biggest if in all of sports, right? I look at a team like the Bucks. Remember Jabari Parker, dominant. I think a lot of people forget Jabari Parker was a dominant player on that Bucks team, averaging 20 plus, going out there cooking. Giannis was the young guy coming up. He's trying to figure it out. All of a sudden, Giannis starts to take steps up. Jabari gets hurt. Giannis is now the focal point. You have to have that young guy that not only maybe surprises you, but steps up and takes on the mantle of Paul George to Danny Granger, Giannis to Jabari Parker, right? Not saying that there has to be, I think in both those situations, there was some injury that went in there, but there has to be that player that you look at one day and just go, Jordan Poole to Stephen Curry, where you're just like, hey, he's really good too. We thought he was going to be good, but he's like really, really good. And that's where the Bulls will take that next step. Until then, right, you're going to be competitive in the East every year. You're going to be a top 4 or 5 team. And I like where the Bulls are going with this because I think the worst thing that you can do, and it's the Garpax route, and I don't care what anybody says, it has never worked in the NBA. Tanking does not work. The process has not worked. The process has not been out of the second round yet.
Yep.
The process just doesn't work. The tanking, OKC, they went and got Chet. Chet may be back during the season. How many wins did you give him with Chet down there?
Zero.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
the process just doesn't work. So I like the direction the Bulls are going. Okay, let's get some vets in here. And or let's get DeMar, let's get Lonzo, let's get Vooch, because now when free agency starts to come up, guess what? The Bulls look exciting.
You know what I can't wait for? You see, real G's move in silence like lasagna. So
no,
I will just tell you, what I love is to just get in the comments. I like to sneak in the comments. I don't text you because I'm not trying to have a back and forth with you at the designer. I'm not, because I'm going to lose that. I'm not going to do back and forth and argue with you.
Listen. You can hold your own with Cappy. You can hold your own with anybody.
But you're my boy. I'm not going to argue with you about Chicago sports, but I do like to sneak into the comments on your shows, right? And I cannot wait till like game 32. And you're going to be like, I just don't understand why Patrick Williams is not a better player right now. We need him for 20 and 10. And I cannot wait. And I'll sneak in the comments and say, you're being unfair to a young player. I asked you in September who's going to be the number 2 guy. And DeRozan will sit out like on a back-to-back. And you're going to need a number 2 guy. And Vucevic's threes is not going to hit. And you're going to be like, why is Patrick Williams not that dude? How come he's not that dude? Flip that, viral.
Here's the thing on that.
That's what's going to happen. No, I'm telling you that's what's going to happen. Because that's what you're setting it up for, right?
Yeah.
You gave the analysis and never said anything about Patrick Williams.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen. Like, Ball's not going to be there. It'll be Caruso or Dragic. And then it'll be Zach having a bad night. Vucevic won't be able to step up. And then you're going to be like, how come the kid's not been able? Because that's what we're waiting for, right?
Yeah.
Patrick Williams to be that dude that is a two-way player. And just like Justin, it may not happen this year.
Yeah.
Just be prepared for that.
All I need to see, though, here's my thing. I'm very fair with our younger players. I've waited for every single one of them, right? Like, for me, I've given Kobe White a ton of leeway because, as crazy as it sounds, this is Kobe White's first training camp. You don't get to work on things in the offseason, right? Or during the season, I'm sorry. So offseason is really when you work on your game more so. Kobe White's first training camp. Kobe, show me something. Show me a reason you're supposed to be here, brother. You've been working on your ball handling all offseason. Show me the reason you're supposed to be here as the 7th pick in the draft. I think for me, I just need to see a step from P. Will. P. Will last season, right? I love how he finished the season. I love how he was playing in the playoffs. Yeah, he wasn't. The Bulls fans' biggest knock to me that P. Will wasn't strong enough to stop Giannis is the greatest knock in the world, because I just look and I'm like, show me the dude. You show me the dude in the NBA and I will give up my entire draft class for him.
That's unfair. Yeah, that's completely unfair.
But I just need to see a step, right? If Patrick Williams is 15-8 this season, we're moving in the right direction. He's 21, 15-8.
Yep.
As if we had drafted him 21 and he came in and gave us 15-8, we'd feel great about it. I don't need to see P. Will be the number 2 this season, but I think the only way the Bulls get to the point that we all want them to get to is if you start to have some of these young guys that you've invested in taking steps in the right direction and forcing their way in the rotation. I love a lot of the people that go, they're not going to P. Will enough. Like, well, he hasn't forced his way to earn those minutes. What did Jimmy Butler do when he was here? Jimmy Butler was like, I'm going to stop the best dude, and then I'm going to go up and I'm going to keep dunking this ball on people. And then all of a sudden they were like, let's keep going to him a little bit more.
Yeah, he was a bench guy first. And then, like, he was just there. He was a perfect Thibodeau player. He was a defensive player. Yep. And then he blossomed into a two-way player.
Yeah. And I think that's what the Bulls need, right? I'm not asking you to come out and be one of the best players in the NBA right away. I never asked that because, right, like, I think Paolo Banchero is going to be a great player. I don't think Chet will. I think he'll be an okay player. But at the end of the day, one of them could suck. One of them could be great. That's the luck of the draft.
Nothing surprises me in sports. Nothing surprises me, but I will ask you, are you surprised that Kobe White's still here? I did not expect him to be on this roster, quite frankly. And we know who he is, right? He's a microwave.
Yeah.
Just heats up off the bench. Unfortunately, that's who he is because there's no real spot for him.
Yeah.
Like, there is no tweener in a 1 and 2. You either got to be one or the other. And I think that for a shooter, depending on the day and depending on the team, he can really heat it up. I thought that they would try to upgrade the bench a little bit more, but he's still here.
I think what surprises me more so, right, is that the value that AK has placed on a player that's not his, right? Because we heard trade packages coming back. There were teams offering, we'll give you a low-level player and a pick. We'll give you a couple second-round picks for him. We'll give you, like, I would have thought, especially as much as AK is hitting the second round, you got Ayo DeSumo last year, I would have absolutely thought, okay, a couple second-round picks for Kobe White. He's not your guy, right? That's how most regimes go. So I'm more surprised by the value that AK and Mark Eversley have put on Kobe White. I think the problem with Kobe White is Kobe's and AK and Billy Donovan spoke to this going into the offseason, getting ready for the draft and stuff like that, where they look at Kobe as a guy who you've been asked to wear so many hats in 3 years in the NBA. You've been asked to be the starting point guard. You've been asked to be the bench point guard. You've been asked to be the bench shooting guard. You've been asked to be the bench 3 in some situations just because you're 6'5". I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that AK's trying to give him every shot to prove why he's here. And we've seen him do that, right? He gave Larry Markkinen every opportunity. They were like, go be great. Larry pouted. Go to the bench and be great. Larry pouted. I got to trade you.
Yeah.
And I think that more so, right, when you look at where AK knows what he wants to build. He wants to build a young team that's going to be here for 10 years. We've heard continuity so much this offseason. I thought we were talking about the Bears.
You try. Well, here's my question. You trying to build for the next 10 years to be the best Bulls team, or are you trying to build Denver?
I think there's I think the biggest difference in the two, right, is this. Denver doesn't get big free agents. Mm-hmm. Denver is Denver, right? Mm-hmm. If you build that Denver team in Chicago, LeBron James looks at Chicago and goes, well, maybe not now, but you know, one of the top players in the NBA looks at Chicago and goes, that's a great market. That's a great team. I can build a brand there, right? Like if we had Denver and Chicago for the last 10 years, we'd be able to get free agents. The biggest problem with the Bulls was you were going out there trying to sell Chicago, and it's cold, and there's no talent on the team.
Yeah, talent matters first, right? Like, despite the weather, talent matters. Yeah. Like, every team wishes especially in the Midwest, they wish they had a Giannis that actually doesn't mind. Yeah, like playing. He's like, yeah, I can see myself in Milwaukee for forever. For the Bulls. Yeah.
Hey, come on. Hey, there's a reason we went and got your brother, bro. Like, pull up. Great long-term player. Great long-term player. Which one is it? Coast? It's not a... doesn't matter.
It's, I think it's the Otis.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They'll all be working. They'll all be working.
So that's fine. I think it's, and that used to be the excuse, right? Nobody wants to play in the Midwest. You want to play out West. You want to play out East. No, there are no small markets in the NBA, even with New Orleans and San Antonio. Yeah. You can make a gainful living anywhere, but you want to go where the talent is, right? Yep. That's what it is. You want to go where the action is. Chicago is hotter now than it was under Garn Pax. Nobody wanted to play for that nonsense, right? And so it's up to Eversley. I don't want to talk to him. I just want to know what's on his mind. AK, I kind of know what's on his mind. He likes house music.
I just want to ask him, what was Ime on when they were down in Philly together? I'm like, what's going on there?
Nia Long.
That's the main reason I wanted him to be the coach. I didn't care if he could coach.
Yeah, seriously. It's kind of funny how that works, right? It's kind of funny, Pat, because it's like on my phone right now, it is burning. It's burning because
mine too.
It's like, I love the conjecture from my cousins. It's like, man, you cheat on whoever you want to cheat on, but just don't cheat on Nia Long. Oh, thanks for the justification. It's okay to cheat, but just not her, right? It's like
that's what it is. That's where we at, right? Like, come on, dog.
Nia Long. I'm hosting too.
Come on,
I'm hosting the show, and I'm looking at my phone like, okay, you guys are ridiculous. So ridiculous. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to this season because I don't know if the Bulls underachieve, but if they do. The first clarion call, the first thing people say is, see, you held your cards. Yeah. You didn't get this team better, right? And so, one thing for sure, people didn't like Garn Pax because they stayed with the core. Yeah. At this point in time, you got to figure out, like, if you don't get further than you did last year, you got to seriously consider what can we do for added scoring? Yeah. And I think that's something they have to consider.
But I think, right, if you do that after giving the core their shot, right? Like the worst thing Bulls fans ever had, all Chicago fans, right? What's the Chicago curse at this point? Get rid of the guy goes somewhere else. He's one of the best players in the league. What the heck happened? Why wasn't he doing that here? Well, because you were asking him to do the wrong thing. So I think, right, like AK and Mark Eversley just really want to know what this team is, if it's healthy. And listen, if it can't stay healthy, I think they will make those changes. I think the biggest thing Bulls fans need to remember, and to kind of to push back on like big market, small market, right? Like who's going to play in Denver? They've got the MVP back to back, and he can't get consistent stars out there with him.
I don't think that's true. I think that, if there's money available, it increases your chance to win. You'll play anywhere. I don't agree with that. I think that for Utah in particular, right? Yeah. So it's Danny Ainge. Like, watch, he'll come out of this hole. Like he'll find
they'll be back in a year.
Because people laugh at him now. It's like, this is what he did with Boston, right? He just like, you will trade away all the assets, gather all the draft picks, grow this thing in a couple of years, and they'll be right back up there. Now, maybe they'll be back up to 50 wins and get bounced in the first and second round. But the point is that you have to change the culture. You got to change. Gobert and Mitchell didn't like each other, and so trade them both, and let's just rebuild. So I just think, they've been a perennial winner. And if you feel like when you play duck, duck, goose, you keep going around and around, and if there's an opportunity for you to win and you can make money doing so, you will do that. You will go where the winner is. This, if nothing else, Pat, this is more or less AAU. I will go to the team that's going to help me win a chip. I will go there to increase my chances to win. That's the league today.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I think, right, if we had, and would you agree? If we had Denver's team in Chicago right now, we'd be able to get similar talent and or more talent than Denver's able to acquire over there.
What is the league's perception, players, the league's perception of Jokic?
Two-time MVP at least.
All right. I like his LinkedIn resume.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But I mean, like, no, but you know what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm asking you, right? Like, does Jokic got the same clout as LeBron or KD? Maybe not KD lately, but you know what I'm saying? Like, other players in the league. I don't know the relationship that Jokic has with others in the league, but you want to run with guys that you feel like you can kick it with and be able to win a championship with. I don't like. Yes, if the Denver Nuggets were in Chicago, they would be a solid team in the East. Even though you still got to take on KD and guys and all that, they'd be formidable for sure. But like I'm saying about relationships, is Jokic popular? Accolades aside, is he popular like the other top 5 players in the league, like Giannis, and LeBron, and KD? And that does matter.
I would say no. Yeah, that definitely matters, because you think about like a lot of the reason that DeMar came to Chicago is because him and Vooch were boys, and they've been boys the entire time. So it does matter. Do you see Jokic kicking it with LeBron and that circle at the All-Star game? I don't, but I also kind of like that a little bit too. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. It gives me some 90s nostalgia. I will say he's a little bit of a rager back home though. You see the videos of him back home. He's just like taking one to the head and like flips a fire pit. It's like, what's going on? Like, shit, 2-time MVP. I thought he'd be working out right now. Nice.
No, he's a roll of baloney, and he can knock down threes. And that dude is a monster. That's what he is. Like, he ain't worried about your push-ups, and he ain't worried about your bicep curls and your sit-ups. He ain't worried. He's worried about knocking down a three. That's what he cares about.
I love it, man, because it gives me hope that my body doesn't have to be great to just keep being great, man. You know what I mean? Like,
That's right. My hero.
I don't gotta have a 6-pack. Jokic is my guy. Hoodie, I appreciate you for coming through and showing love to the show, man. Hoodie's been somebody who's been in my corner for probably pre-COVID. just tuning into the show, watching a lot of the stuff, man. So I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. Would love to have you on anytime you're available to come on, because I do this every day.
Okay, we could do that. I want to let people know. Just step to the side, Pat. I got something to say to your audience. Just step to the side, please. I'll take the one screen, please.
There you go. Yeah, you got it.
Pat, the designer, has a great program, and I hope that you are able to tell people. People, don't be selfish. Tell people that this is the spot. You're a sports fan, Chicago sports fan, or otherwise. This is the show that you should be watching because he's fantastic. The passion is there. The wit and wisdom is there. So make sure that you are checking this show out. If you have not subscribed, tell people to subscribe to this channel. This Pat the Designer, this is where you need to be. Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. The $20 will be in the mail on Sunday.
Money. You've seen the inflation.
Oh, man, dang. No, I really do appreciate you, Hoodie. Listen, fellas, as always, and ladies too, make sure that you let us know how you guys feel in the comments below. Make sure that you tune in and rock with all the episodes. Make sure you're listening in to the Cap and J Hood Show every Monday through Friday in the morning. I start my morning with you guys every morning as I'm making a cup of coffee, man. So you guys get me started, right? Especially with a child. It's a lot of early mornings.
It's funny. You and I have the same issue. I also start my morning with a child.
Take that for what you will. Cap. It is what it is. Hoodie, appreciate you for showing love. Let the people know what you got coming up, anything you got coming up, or where they can tune in and check out anything outside of Cap and J Hood.
Well, I have the Under the Hood podcast that's available right now. Look for Under the Hood with Johnathan Hood podcast. I just talked to Yolanda Ross from the hit TV show The Chi. She's also an American Gigolo right now. Homegirl's from Omaha, but she is doing some great things in television. So I talked to her. So subscribe to the Under the Hood podcast. It's available right now. And also Good Karma Wrestling. Pat knows that I'm into pro wrestling, so check out Good Karma Wrestling. It's available on all podcast platforms.
100%. Yeah, you got me into it. Like I'm keeping up with different storylines and stuff like that. Like they're like, The Rock is coming back. I'm like, why? Why is The Rock coming back? We don't need this again, but it's okay. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again to continue watching our Chicago sports content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.